Hey, if you bought a knife that's designed to be carried in a scout configuration, you're gonna get to wear it until either your buddies laugh you off the trail or you stab yourself in the ass. And then you're gonna shelve it. So today I'm going to go over how to convert this knife into the belt carry configuration so you can actually use it. Hey, I may not be an outdoor survival expert, but I did serve as an artillery scout in Ukraine, 1986 to 1988. And if you don't know what an artillery scout is, it's something between a forward observer and a pack mule. Yep, that's me back then. Grab a strip of leather, no less than 1.5 inches wide and no less than 1/8 of an inch thick. Place a strip of leather over the sheath. Trace the cross straps onto the leather, leaving approximately 1/16 of an inch or a couple of millimeters to each side. Mark perpendicular slit lines approximately 1/2 inch or 12 millimeters from the edge of the strip of leather. Using 1/8 of an inch punch out 8 holes at the intersections of the lines you just drew. These holes will terminate the slits that you're about to cut in the strip of leather. I use the end of the belt because I'm saving better leather for other projects. Use a good utility knife to cut the slits. Not much pressure is required, and you don't have to cut it all in one pass. Most professional leather makers recommend making multiple passes rather than force the knife into the leather all the way. Once the 4 slits are ready, it's time to fit the workpiece onto the sheath. And as I'm doing it, let me talk about this knife for a second. It is made in Pakistan, with which the United States has a fair trade agreement. Only minimal tariffs and taxes are applied to the products coming in from Pakistan. That is why the price is so low. Pakistan has a knife-making tradition dating back to the Middle Ages. That region is the origin of the Damascus steel, which was actually never produced in Damascus, or at least there's no evidence to that. Next step is a check to see how far from the hip would the knife be pulling if I left everything as is. 45 degrees, way too much. I'm going to use the knife retention strap and an additional slit in my workpiece to shift the point of balance upward. Later, I discovered that adding this feature protects the retention strap from the edge of the knife when you reinsert it into the sheath. Now is also a good time to mark and trim the bottom of the workpiece to the length of the sheath. To do my cuts, I have to unfold the workpiece. The knife I'm using to cut the slits is CGRB Krag Tactical. Knife that I filmed in another video. I broke the tip off of it and then had to reshape and resharpen the tip. It works fantastic. The steel is RPM 9. While I wasn't impressed with the toughness of this steel, I am impressed with its edge retention. There has been no noticeable degradation in the edge or tip through this entire project. At around just $40, this knife equipped with a recoil lock and a powder metallurgy blade is becoming a good working tool for me. Okay, and now I'm passing the retention strap through the slit I just finished cutting, and we'll try the knife in the sheath again. On the first attempt, the retention strap is very tight. However, this leather is stretching pretty well, and soon enough it fits without any problem. As you can see, the trick worked out well. There's almost no tilt in the knife anymore. Next, I'm going to mark my workpiece for vertical slits, which will attach the sheath to my waist belt. The slits would have to be wider than the widest belt you're wearing. The reason is to allow the knife to free tilt when you're sitting down or crouching down. In my case, the dimensions are 2 inches or slightly over 50 millimeters, and I move them about 1/2 inch or 12 millimeters away from the edge. I'm following the same steps as before, punching 4 holes, one at each end of the slits, and then using my work knife to carefully score and then cut the leather. Once again, you don't have to cut it all in one pass. Multiple passes are perfectly acceptable. Almost done here. Now that the slits were cut, time to put everything back together and take it out for a test drive. There's something very satisfying about snapping it all back together. And I have to say, this perfectly imperfect $40 investment brought me a lot more joy than some of the $300 knives that I have in my collection.
But if you are thinking about buying this knife, you need to know this. While it looks like a full tang knife, it is not, because the tang is welded onto the Damascus blade. But this knife will give you an experience maintaining Damascus and working with complex blade geometries.
Alright, not too shabby, let's take it outside. As you can see, I have a full range of motion with this orientation. And very importantly, I can extract it with a single hand. Because the sheath was constructed to carry the blade in scout position with edge down orientation, in this new orientation the blade will always come out edge forward. I enjoyed this little project, but now it's time to walk the dog. I hope you found this useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe.